joining me today. My name is Anna, and I'm going to show you how to make a Pom Pom turkey tabletopper for the Thanksgiving holiday. This is a wonderful craft to do in your programs when you are looking to do something that is seasonal with your students. And here are the tools and materials that you'll need today. So first, you're going to need some colored yarn. I'm using brown and orange wool yarn, 2 different size pom-pom makers, some 6-inch pipe cleaners in the color of your choice, assorted colors of felt, some googly eyes, scissors, chalk, a glue gun, and some extra glue. The first step that I'm going to show you today is how to make the actual multicolored pom-poms for your turkey. Let's begin by using our small pom-pom maker. It's really not that hard to get a multicolored pom-pom. What you're going to do is grab ends from both of your colors of yarn, line up the ends right here, and you're going to take your pom-pom maker and you're going to move each leg open so that if one leg moves, the other leg follows it. That's really important to explain to your students that each leg has to be together or touching when creating your pom-pom. Now, it's really helpful for kids if you explain to them that their index finger or their thumb, whichever they feel comfortable, should be used to hold down the ends of your yarn. If you don't hold this down, your kids are going to have a hard time wrapping the yarn around. So for example, I'm taking the orange and the brown, placing it in the center arch of the pom-pom maker, and I'm holding it down with my index finger. Now, I'm going to take both ends, and I'm going to begin wrapping the arch of the pom-pom maker so that I cover all of the yellow arch. You don't want to wrap the feet because we're going to need those later. Cover it just so you can't really see any of the color. The more that you wrap, the more dense your pom-pom is going to be, which is great. Now you're going to cut the ends, and if you have some loose pieces like we have here, that's all right. We're going to fold this in, and we're going to flip over the pom-pom maker to do the other side. Again, you're just going to repeat what we just did. Pull enough yarn so that you have enough to work with, but don't cut it off of your yarn ball. I'm going to place it in the center and begin to wrap again. Now I can move my finger so that I'm comfortable. Wrap just so that you can't see any of the color of the arch or the smile shape or the rainbow. Whatever phrase you'd like to use in the classroom is fine as long as kids understand what you're explaining. Now I'm going to cut this off. I will also add that in the classroom, you should probably have some yarn balls prepped that can fit in the center of a child's palm of their hand. This is going to help so that all of the kids can use whatever yarn you have at the same time and they don't have to wait for everyone's turn. Let's go back to the pom-pom maker though. So in this pom-pom maker, you'll see that there's a space on each side and it's perfect for fitting the blades of your scissor. This next step is where we're going to begin to cut the halves of the pom-pom. Some kids might be a little worried because they don't want to ruin their pom-pom, but you can explain to them that we will begin to tie it after this step. You snip along the disc, and you don't want to leave any wrapped pieces. Like, see how this is not finished cutting? Go in and trim that. Flip it over, begin to cut the other side. If you wrapped your pom-pom pretty dense, it might be a little bit hard to cut, but that's okay. It's going to look really beautiful at the end. Now that we've checked that we've cut all of the sides of the yarn, we're going to put our pom-pom down on the table, and we're going to pick whichever color yarn we want for this next step to tie the pom-pom. I'm going to use brown. I'll lay the end on either side, and I'll begin to lay it over the pom-pom maker like a rainbow or a frown. I think rainbows are happier. We're going to take the yarn and we're going to cut it off. You're going to need to know that this arch right here is where this yarn is going to be placed. So you're going to stick it in the center. Some kids might need help with that. Stick it in through both sides and yank it just enough so it's secure. We're going to take the yarn and crisscross it until there's a balloon shape. Take either end of your yarn and pop the balloon by sticking it in the center of the loop. Pull nice and tight, and you already have one knot. Let's repeat that so that you can have 2 knots to secure your pom-pom. It gets swallowed up into the center of the pom-pom maker, and you shouldn't see your knot. Now, the next step is really fun. You can explain to the students that you're going to pull apart the pom-pom maker like their favorite kind of cookie or ice cream sandwich. Pull it apart, and it should look like this. You can fluff it up in your hands. You can give it a haircut. I'm going to cut the longer strands of yarn because we will not be needing those. If you'd like to give it a haircut, now is the time. And for the next step of the turkey's body, you're going to use the big pom-pom maker. You're just going to repeat what we did with the small pom-pom maker, and I've already made one ahead of time to show you. You can see that one is a lot smaller than the other, and it's going to be perfect for our turkey body. The next step, we're going to take the turkey legs, which are the pipe cleaners. You can place them like so, as a little X or a cross, however you'd like to explain it. And what we're going to do is we're going to then twist both sides just once. If you twist it too much, you're going to have less legs to work with. Let's put those off to the side when we'll need them later. I have some different colored felt here for the parts of the turkey's face. You can prep these in advance if you'd like with your students, or you can have them cut little shapes. For the beak of the turkey, you can prep some diamond shapes or rhombus shapes, however you'd like to explain. And then for the snoot of the turkey, you can explain to your students that they will be basically making an 8 shape, like so. What you need to keep in mind is that a snoot tends to look bulbous at the top, come in through the center, and then bulbous at the bottom. That's why it's pretty easy to explain kids that they're making a number 8 without connecting it in the center. You can then trim on the inside lines of the chalk to get your snoot shape. I prepped mine in advance. The next step that we're going to do is you can take any color felt that you'd like. It's okay if you have scrap pieces. That is absolutely fine for this project. I am going to just trim the excess so that I have a basic shape. Now, to get the feathered look of the turkey, what you're going to do is fold your felt in half, about half. That's okay if it's not perfect. And you can begin to draw some scalloped shapes from the center folded line. I'm making some loops and bumps, and they're cascading as I go down diagonally to the bottom corner. Kids can really get as creative as they'd like with this step for the turkey feathers. Now that you've traced it, you're going to cut along the inside line of the chalk. It's okay if you still see some chalk on your felt because chalk rubs off. You want to be sure to explain that to your students if it's the first time that they're tracing anything with chalk in your classroom. Get rid of the excess. And when you open it up, you have an adorable shape of feathers for your turkey. Now, I saved all of the gluing for last, which I think helps to run a really smooth workshop session for your classroom. You can grab all of your pieces together, and now we're going to do the gluing. The first step that I like to do is pull your pom-poms, and you're going to just put some glue onto the inside of the pom-pom. You're probably going to need to do this for your students. Most kids are not old enough to know how to be safe with a glue gun in the fiber arts program, especially if they're between the ages of 5 and 12. After you've glued the body of the pom-pom, you're going to place it down on the bottom of your cut piece of felt. You can pat it down. Be careful to not burn yourself. And this should dry in just a few moments. We're going to repeat that for the head of the turkey. Gluing just enough so that it doesn't make a mess. And we're going to press it down onto the felt. It's pretty secure on the bottom already. But be sure to just wait a few moments so that your students don't have any chance of burning themselves at all. While that's drying, you can fluff it up a little bit, and I'm going to find my eyes. You can use different colored eyes, or you can use different size eyes for your turkey. Turkeys are kind of goofy looking in real life too, so it's all right if it looks goofy on your craft. You definitely want to help your students out with this step. Put a dollop of glue onto the eye and place it anywhere you'd like. Be mindful of any strands of glue that I consider undesirable. I definitely do not like to send home any projects with visible glue or strands of glue. You can always cut them off later when the glue has dried as well. I'm going to find any of the diamond shapes that I cut. I feel like using yellow to make it pop. And I'm going to fold in half. And I'm going to put just the smallest amount of glue in the center. You can barely see it. And then you're going to pinch it so that it holds the shape of the beak. If you don't really do this step, you might run the risk of having a flat-looking diamond on your turkey. And we want to make this look animated. That dries very quickly. The next step is to take the glue gun and glue from edge to edge of the folded part of the beak. You're going to place it down onto the head of the turkey, and you're going to let that dry. Next, find your snoot. The snoot can be glued on as well, and you can just glue the top portion of the snoot. If you need to add some more glue to your glue gun, definitely do that. The reason I'm only gluing on the top part of the snoot is so that it wobbles around just like a real snoot. And you can glue it off to the side of the beak anywhere that you'd like. Since snoots really hang a lot off of a turkey and they wobble around, it's totally okay. This is coming together quite nicely. Now, before we add our legs, it's important to glue the head to the body of the pom-poms. This is going to prevent your turkey from flopping around. Find any spot on the top of the body pom-pom. And I like to do some lines of glue that match the circular shape of the pom-pom of the turkey's body. This can get a bit messy, and that's okay. Just make sure you are doing this for your students. The last thing you want is to get a kid to burn themselves in your nurturing, fun environment. I'm fluffing them together nicely. And this should dry in just a few moments. See how that holds together and doesn't flop around as it did before? That's pretty important. Now, I'm going to take my crisscrossed pipe cleaners, or my legs, and I'm going to basically form a little nest for this turkey. So what you can see is when you place the turkey down over this set of legs, that there are 2 pipe cleaners coming to the front and 2 pipe cleaners coming off to the back. I'm going to hold it down with my hand, and I'm going to fold up the 2 back pipe cleaners, like so. And I'm going to now come down to the legs in the front, and I'm only going to fold over half of the leg in a downward manner, like so. This is going to help to hold your turkey up and to form the shape of the legs. Should look like this from the profile view, and you can test it before you glue it that it holds the turkey together nicely. If it topples over like mine, it just means you have to adjust the legs. You can always keep adjusting them even after you've glued your turkey to the pipe cleaners. So I'm going to move my pipe cleaner over to